remember I'd ask you like to come with me, and that time we had to like get our books, like that Ifra's book, the conceptual framework, and then I could have went by myself because I had booked, and then I got the message that, oh, your book is here. And then I asked you, hey, did your book arrive yet? And I waited for your book to arrive so that we can walk together. So it's like something as easy as just walking to South Street, just walking there. Any person, like a guy, it's actually so sad how a guy, it's just like, "Ha, ke hona mo?" Like I'll be like, I'm going, I'm coming back. But for a girl, yeah, Kevin, it's a problem. Yeah. So like with this whole gender-based violence, in South Africa, like around the world, but in South Africa it has become a serious epidemic. And honestly, oh bruh, like kore, some things are just so unnecessary, given like wanna, like when you are busy, trying to fix some things, and then who knows, let's say no more, and as it's and it's like, what's happening? Oh, reason. So I was actually talking to Shomani earlier, and so he was saying, Hore, it doesn't make sense, the whole thing, Hore, like if people who are in our government, you know, are, they get away with, I'm going to talk about rape now, So you have these men who rape these women, or who just rape, right? And then they are in power. And so what is that message? Like, what does that send, to the members of the community? Like, so what, raping is not an issue? What are you saying? Like, you have someone in power, someone who's supposed to enforce, all these, the right thing. What does that mean, Kevin, bruh? Like, so we keep fighting, we're fighting, and then the people in power are just raping about and still keeping their jobs. It makes no sense, bruh.
No, it's really bad. And I think if you look at our country and you look at the leadership, there are so many men in power, right? And you take it from like, take it this way, that look at how in many of our communities where there will be literal sexual predators, how very little is done to eradicate those sexual predators. And what I mean by that, you find that these sexual predators have friends. They have people that they hang with, and whatever, and we chill with them, and whatever, and we're friends. And instead of shaming such behavior, it's encouraged, or there's a blind eye which is turned because Ramajita, and we're trying to save face, so to speak, or to protect one another, or no, I'm not gonna do you like that, or we're not gonna talk about it. It's sort of like somewhat of a taboo, so to speak, to address a gent who is abusive. It's like there will be that one or two gents who are like, no, but what you do is wrong, and then there's gonna be those gents. Like with guys, there's a whole lot of, I'm not gonna mingle in your personal business, and it's just a general guy thing where there's very little. mingling in the business and personal business of other gens. Yes, we can talk about whatever, the relationships you get in, who you sleep with, all of those things, right? But we're not going to go as deep as who exactly you sleep with and what you do with, things like that. Or I'm not going to meddle in the fact that I know that you are doing this with this person and doing this with that person and doing this with 16 other people elsewhere. Do you understand? We're not going to talk about that. I know you do it, but we keep quiet about it, because we don't meddle. So if in small communities, or thinking about it, if in not small communities, but from like on a small scale, so to speak, just in a normal community, if there's no addressing of such issues, and if we grow up in such a culture where, as gens, we don't reprimand one another, but we either encourage like foul behavior, or we turn a blind eye, then you grow up in such a culture. And even when you get to a point where you're in leadership and things like that, there's just a whole thing of ish, because and women are different in that if something is wrong, if a friend is doing something wrong, women are different in that they reprimand it, they address it, they sit their friend down, and it's like, let us sort out this issue. Like, why are you doing this? What is, they try to get to the root of the problem. Whereas with guys, we don't get that sentimental. So you grow up in this culture where there's very little done to address terrible underlying issues that result in a person acting a particular way. And so a person feels it's normal. So now you've got a bunch of people now, for example, in leadership, who, where they should be shaming such behavior, they don't, because we just grew up in a culture of, and because there's so much alliance and knowing of one another, and the kind of backing of other people in senior leadership, who would make sure that this person not only gets released, but is able to return to work, because it's just like, we just neglect all of these things. So had there been a culture of, well, firstly, a culture where we address these issues from the beginning, but also even in our leadership, um, policies that make sure that there is a lot of women in leadership and power, then many of these things would not happen. Because I'm very sure that a woman who is minister will not allow her deputy minister, her male deputy minister, to be involved in a rape case against a woman, another woman, or children, or abuse, or something like that. But we'll make sure that this person loses his job and does not return to it. So because there's very little of that, then it's so unfortunate. And again, like, I think with many of our leaders, if you read some stories and some books and things like that, they themselves have been involved in numerous instances of um, some other kind of abuse, and that's why they will turn a blind eye, because they know that should should they be loud mouths about it, anyone can just pop up and be like, I can't believe you're the one that's talking, forgetting what you've done, things like that. Yeah. So as long as men are in power, nah, it's going to be, and I'm not just talking in government, I mean power even in corporate and things like that, where there are cultures of just like basically just throwing around sexual innuendos around women and things like that, and it being an okay thing, and there being a thing of where a woman will lodge a complaint, she will be told to just grow up and deal with it. I mean, it's just whatever. For as long as we have things like this are going to continue to happen, and for as long as we do not create a culture amongst us as young men where we deal with these issues and talk about them, and we, for as long as we don't talk about things and open up, we are going to continue to have this problem in South Africa.
I don't know, as soon as a guy, I hear that a guy is sort of like, because I mean, if you don't believe in like equality in genders, then I feel like you are oppressive, you know, because you are a guy who feels that a woman has a role in terms of like the old standard, you know, like you know, a woman belongs in the kitchen, a woman cannot um fix the light bulb. It's a freaking light bulb, man. You just go up there and you fix it, you know. So I feel like it's stuff like that that obviously it's nice, you know, as a woman having stuff done, you know. Obviously I feel like with anyone, you can enjoy someone doing some stuff for you, but that doesn't mean that I can't do it myself, you see. So I think that comes with like some sort of oppression. And how, you know, how guys when guys grow up, a guy will dare you to go up to a girl and, you know, touch her ass, for instance, you know, to say something dirty to her, you know, like, yeah, when I get to yeah, like like stuff like that. And then as a guy, because you're trying to, you know, prove that you're a man, you go and do stuff that you're not supposed to be doing to the girl, you know. So yeah, I feel like obviously that like Kevin, Kore, I feel like maybe as Kore, I ke tsore ke tla reng hore as Kore, it's like it's almost as if we keep talking and girls keep talking like you mentioned, and guys are like, yeah, you know, whatever, you know, y'all talk and then we're just gonna be here, and then we can talk and talk tot pitcom. But as soon as guys don't evaluate, you know, their actions and what they do, like nothing is going to change. You know, you talked about policies, like there needs to be a zero tolerance policy in terms of, you know, gender-based violence, you know. Yeah, so gender-based for anyone, you know. The 16 days of activism is mainly for like women and children abuse, but you know, being broadening it into gender-based, anyone can be violated, being men or women, right? So there needs to be like very strict policies in terms of violating and, you know, people's rights and stuff. So actually it got me thinking, Hore, when you mentioned that like men create these policies and stuff, and then now I'm thinking like what was happening under lockdown, bruh, you know, because now you are trapped inside a house with this person who is so abusive and you can't go out. So what was happening in lockdown? Mm.
I think it's one of the points that many people made against a hard lockdown is that you have people who their escape is work, their escape is school, their escape is whatever. So now here's this child who's going to be forced to be in the same house as their stepfather 24/7, right? The stepfather who has been molesting her for the past 7 years or something like that every single day. And now they're living in this house and they're forced to be together in the same space, where school was an escape for this child. That was one of the points that was made. I think my dad once said to us, or rather my mom actually told my dad or asked my dad rather, what do you discuss amongst yourself with me? Like just listening to these reports, constant reports about how another child, was found left in jail in the ditch, another young girl has been raped and murdered or whatever, all of those things. And my mother asked my dad that, like, what do you discuss amongst yourself as men, with all of this abuse that is happening? Did you talk about it? He let us know of this group chat that they've got amongst him and his friends with whom he grew up. And this one person made a snide joke about how, like, basically beating a woman up, I don't know, to like bring her back into order or something, and apparently every one of them, my dad and his friends, they all have wives. They actually went in for this guy, right? And they said, "You're not gonna talk like that. You're not going to make such comments. It's not funny, and we will not accept it. And if you've got a problem, then And for me, I'm one for understanding the root cause of a problem. Né? So what I mean by this is that I believe we need to determine what the issue is. Like, why are men, like, why is it accelerating so much in South Africa? You know, and having spoken to a number of people and somewhat having read some research and things like that, I've come to find that a, a young man needs a male mentor throughout his life and a male role model and a good male mentor and a role model, right? Who will teach this young boy how to be a true man and a real man who treats women right, who knows his role as a man in the community, right? His role as a protector, his role as security, for not just himself or his wife, but for the children in the community, other women in the community, things like that. So then that's number one. That's what a young boy needs growing up. And then we've got, when you look at how many households are being headed by single mothers, right? Um, how many men have not played their role in the lives of their young boys, right? How many men have run away? So more often than not, having a young boy or a young man grow up without somewhat of a father figure or a role model, a male role model, plays a huge role in how this child grows up and what he becomes in the community, right? And it's not just that, but it's other factors that play a role. So now here's this boy who does not have someone teaching him how to. And the thing about it, a mother can teach, right? A mother will play the role of both mother and father, but to a great extent, only up until a certain point, right? There's only so much that a mother knows about being a man, right? That she cannot really pass down to her son, right? And so now we've got this problem of men who just make babies all around the country, all around the world. Now these young kids have to grow up in single-headed households. Then a young boy, you find that here's this mother who has 5 kids that she has to raise on her own, right? And this young boy is the last of the 5, right? and so does not get all the attention that he needs. Now grows up harboring anger, then eventually, it leads to this person being a violent person in the community because he has not known how to express love, because he never really was able to grow up in an environment where he was able to experience it and know how to express it. So it's things like that, things like being raped as a child, that cause all of these problems. And I then feel the government, or I don't know, but like the government, but communities as well, need to come up with ways to deal with this problem. Steve Harvey has this thing of, um, I forgot what it's called, but basically, like, it's like a program that he has where he takes young men who come from, yeah, like they come from households where there's no father figure, basically, and like it's like a camp thing that he does with them, and they just mentor these kids, and basically they will get like an adoptive father, who will then guide them and direct them, and I think these are things that our communities and our government needs to start encouraging in our communities, especially Black communities, right? Because that's where it's most prevalent. And if you look in our country, I know, um, from what I've seen, many times you're more like all other ethnicities other than African, um, uh, like ethnicities, they tend to remain like it will be like a full family with a mother, a father, and the kids, right? And there tends to be less cases of rape, gender-based violence amongst those ethnicities, be it Asian, Caucasian, and all those others. You understand? So then that should speak to something. So we then need to come up with programs that ensure that this, like even in school, you know, schools need to identify that here's this child or here are these boys who are being raised, because there's this whole thing, you'll find, like I'll find, like you sometimes see these memes or you see these comments on Twitter or whatever, where people will be like, maybe after a woman was raped, then they find that she was wearing a mini skirt, and then they're like, yeah, she was basically asking for it and things like that. She should change the way she dresses. So there's like a whole movement where, um, the woman shouldn't have to do anything to change herself. You need to teach the boy, And I really am for the way we need to teach our young men, because they're the perpetrators at the end of the day, you know we need to teach them how to be real men within the community and help them. Like, there are those principles from of old that we can continue to foster in this growing, in this different culture in which we live today, right? Where young boys need to understand that they have a role to play in the community, and that is the role of being protectors. That is the role of being, somewhat of security, a good example, leaders as well, right? Not to say that women can't be leaders, but they need to like be there to make change and to, yeah. So I think we need more and more programs like that, that really encourage this.
You mentioned the fact that like dress, like how a female dresses, shouldn't be the reason, like saying that, oh, she asked for it because she was wearing, revealing clothes or whatever. So um which is true, because I think that is just an excuse, because you do find oftentimes people who get raped, when they're fully dressed, so it's not even about, oh, like she was asking for it. Like, you could legit be dressed from head to toe, not showing anything, and still, a guy feels like, oh, that's a woman, you see. So actually we were watching Special Assignment um today actually. So this woman was led to believe that online, so there was like a job offer, um and she was led to believe that she was going to be given a job. And so she went to the place, and um I don't know. She was carrying like what's this, like toiletry, like I think she said pajamas and like a towel and stuff. So I guess she thought, I don't know what kind of job she thought she was going to, but I guess she thought she was gonna sleep there. I don't know where, if she was gonna be a domestic worker or something. I don't know. But she thought she was gonna work there. And like the man, the thing is, this was like in the afternoon and stuff. So the man waited until late, or I want to know, like there's no way you could leave here and whatnot. And yeah, so and the thing also is that the woman is disabled. So you know how like there aren't like a lot of um jobs for the disabled. So she felt, oh, a job, and she was very excited for that, and she went. And Kante, it's this guy just preying on women, because I mean at this time, you can imagine the unemployment rate is hectic. So when you find a job, it's like you get excited. And there was no job, obviously, so this guy raped her, and which is hectic, you see. So that's why I'm saying that this thing of, it's like saying that blaming how a woman dresses is just an excuse. It's like you're trying to put a reason behind something wrong. Wrong is wrong. You have no right to a woman's body under no circumstances, you see. So whether she was fully dressed, whether she wasn't dressed appropriately, I guess, whatever, fully dressed, you don't have the right to her body. It's her body. You don't get to justify her actions, or your own actions. Yeah. So yeah. And also when you spoke about like how you know in South Africa, especially in you know African family like households, they aren't a lot of male figures oftentimes. Yeah. So that's very true. And I feel like now, no, I don't know what is happening, but now it's becoming more hectic than it was before. I don't know. The thing is, growing up, everyone that I knew had both parents in the house. Most of them, the majority, you see. So, and it's like the ones who didn't have one of the parents, it was maybe, I'd say maybe the dad oftentimes, but like whichever one, you'd find that one passed away or something like that, but it was never like a separation slash divorce thing, right? So, and now it's so hectic because um you find that, okay, sharp, well, you know who the dad is, but the dad is not even around in the child's life, like it's almost as if you just want to pump in like babies in the world, and then you just like peace, and then you go that side, pump pump pump, peace. And I'm like, but that is so unfair, because when I look at those people, you had a dad, you are being so unfair. You were given a stable household. You were raised in a household with both parents, and you benefited from both parents. And you find that, your parents were actually decent people, So it's very unfair for you to grow up in such like a homely environment, and then you have kids and you don't even give them that. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. So, but also I feel that it goes back to, I feel also that women have a part that they play in this whole fatherless kids. Because I mean, to an extent, obviously you can't 100% guarantee someone sticking around. I guess maybe that's why growing up they were like, you can't have, kids out of wedlock. That I think some things just explain themselves. Obviously, it can't always be like a straightforward thing. It's your choice, if you don't want to have, stuff like that. But there needs to be some sort of stability. If you know that, you're not gonna have the dad around, then have someone, a male figure, someone who can, teach your kids the ways of the man. If you are a man, have a female to teach your daughter the ways of a woman, right? So it's just about understanding. And also, when you are from um, a family with both parents, it's important to have a father who respects the mom, because sometimes that's where violence comes in. So the dad beats on the mom, and the mom stays with the dad, and so the child grows up, both the boy and the girl grows up thinking, oh, so when a man beats me, it means that he loves me, otherwise why would he beat me, right? So it shows that you care about me so much that you're even willing to beat me. So, and then the guy as well, he's like, hey, so you are my property, because I grew up in a household where maybe my dad was the sole provider and he owned my mom, so I can beat you if I want to. You are mine. I provide for you, therefore you are mine. So it's also important for the girl child to have her own, be financially stable by yourself, so that you don't have to rely on, things that you shouldn't be um, settling for, if you know that you can leave anytime, you can just be like, you can just stand up, take your bags, bounce, rather than having to, suffer. Yeah.
It's important for us to create that culture of um, it being normal to like deal with such situations where now, okay, fine, um, you don't end up with a man just because he's a provider and whatever, and end up living with him regardless of the things that he does to you because of the fact that you're dependent on his paycheck or whatever, but actually creating not an environment, but a culture of independence amongst them. It's important to entrench these values from a young age, because that's when it's most important, and that's when, if it is taught right at that age, at young ages, then it becomes easy for that person to start applying it in their daily adult life. So if we teach women that you're a woman, or young girls rather, that you're a young girl, but you should be independent and you should desire to become an independent person and not just end up maybe sitting and thinking, oh no, my aunt with whom I live somewhere back there in the Bundus is being beaten by her husband, and it's an expression of love. And so that's, I think, as much as I see for myself. Like things like that. We should create a culture where people understand that this is how a woman should be treated from the male side, but this is how a woman should conduct herself and treat herself, um, protect herself. I made a point about talking about women having to wear like less revealing clothes, things like that, right? So I think many people make the argument that not women who should change, but it should be men. But I think if we go back to the like protecting yourself as a woman, I think there are certain things that, given the current conditions, given the fact that we're not going to change men overnight, women desperately need to protect themselves in every way that they can, right? And we need to not only encourage women to protect themselves, but also create a new generation of men who respect women not as objects, not as anything else, but respect women as equals.
So I wanted to say also that like remember I said I spoke about like getting away from a violent relationship when it gets there. Yeah. So the thing also is that sometimes it can be hard for people to speak up, and it seems like the longer it takes them to speak up, the more people don't believe it. And like people need to stop saying that people are lying. I've heard like people call people liars and be like, nah, that's not true because this girl was just trying to this and that. And I'm like, okay, but you do realize that like if a girl also lies, it is punishable. If we find you that you were lying about this, you can be severely punished. But then, when someone finally, because I don't feel like it's something that is the easiest thing to disclose. Like, because oftentimes I feel like maybe you might feel like people might judge you, like making up excuses like, oh, so Vele, what were you wearing, or what were you doing there, or like stuff, just judgments. And at the time, it took so much courage to even come out and speak the truth. And when you do that to the one girl, what do you think the other girl is going to do? She's not going to speak up because clearly nobody believes her. And so she feels alone and she's exposed, like she has exposed herself, because I don't think it's a very nice feeling, first of all, being abused or raped, and then second of all, having nobody even believe you, you know yeah. So I think we need to like stop calling people liars and just support them, and obviously the truth will come out. So I was actually, like I said, I was watching what's a special assignment, and they did mention that within the first 72 hours of rape, you shouldn't bath, because oftentimes people feel like they want to get it off them, and they just want to get it over, and like they just want to bath and and forget about what has happened. And you shouldn't do that. Like, you should go to the police, and within the first 72 hours, you can actually get your, like, the DNA tested. Yeah, so don't bath is an advice. Go to the police. Yeah.
I once heard that one, like, yeah, the don't bother thing, right? And yeah, I think it's like it's so traumatic, like you say, for a person who has been raped and whatever. And the first instinct is to like try to forget about it, and because of this feeling and idea that bathing eradicates in like impurity, um you feel the need, you know when a person has been molested, they feel the need to have to. But I think the most important thing, or not the most important thing, but a very important thing amongst the list of very important things that our government also needs to do is to make such information completely aware, like, to everyone. People need to understand how long they should um, wait, or whatever, like how long they can wait before charging, like pressing charges over a person, um, taking a bath, basically, or whatever it may be. There needs to be a free flow and over an oversupply of information just to protect the women of our country, an oversupply of information just to protect the um just to, like, an oversupply of information just to protect everyone, basically, and not just women, not just children, but everyone, and we also need a harsh justice system in our country that deals severely with people, with such perpetrators, because I think my dad mentioned something which really makes sense, that if one person is hanged, for example, at Church Square in Pretoria CBD, right in front of everyone, it will send a very loud message. It will send a very loud message against anyone who ever decides to act in ways against other women and children. So yeah.
No, true. It's almost as if people, like I said, like the people in power can just get away with it. So even me, I'm just gonna do it, and there's not gonna be any consequences. So we need to set an example, and that shows what enough is enough. But like we're tired, honestly, like we're exhausted. And yeah, so you like what you said about like the government not making this information accessible, bruh, honestly, like bruh, like I learned so much from like the speech. Obviously some things are like common sense for me, but you know having a whole special assignment, do a whole segment on rape, information like contact details, where to go, like this whole like the poa, like the thing is it shows that the government can actually do stuff when they want to. Because look at this whole COVID thing, like like information here, everywhere is information. We can SMS if we want to SMS on TV every second, something about COVID. It's just COVID. So if we were to talk about like like gender-based violence as much as COVID, obviously I know that COVID is like you can just but even gender-based, but it's like we have become like the rank of gender-based violence in South Africa has skyrocketed. It's insane. So how are you not even taking this even the slightest bit serious? It's like, what are you doing? Like clearly you know how to promote stuff, so promote this. This is happening. My gosh.
It's happening.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know, that's very true. Like, the way they were able to even respond to COVID shows that they can be efficient if they wanted to. So we need them therefore too. And I think it's they like things such as 16 days of activism, where we need very active activists, who will advocate for a change, radical change, serious change, um, that will, yeah, so that will basically, like, inform people, we need that. We need the government to be like as efficient, in disseminating information about how to notice the signs, how to, we need activists who will force the government basically to make change, Kadina could say so, like, yeah.
What do you feel about like self-defense classes? Do you feel that it should be part of the syllabus?
So remember I said something about right now, I think preaching changing men's behavior for now is a very weak, in audit. So there's like weak audit evidence and there's like strong audit evidence. There's like good audit evidence, perfect. We need a solution along horror. It's like current and it can help. And things such as like you said, did you say martial arts or what, self-defense
Self-defense.
class, self-defense classes, things like that would really make sure that a young girl walking back home from school who's followed by some 17-year-old matric student from a school nearby is able to defend herself, you know? Yeah, so I think things such as self-defense, those are current solutions that can really go a long way, So I think those are things that our government needs to do. All of these things, I feel like there's certain things that if you can do it, just do it. Like rather have a whole basket full of options that can address an issue over the long term, right? And employ every single one of them, as opposed to saying, no, it won't work for this and that reason. Or no, it might work, but not for everyone or whatever. I think there's certain things that if it can offer some other kind of solution, let it be implemented.
And also like I feel like what walking in groups, I feel like this one has always been like I want to say like it's general knowledge, but it's not general knowledge to everyone. I feel like it's general knowledge to me because I was taught this from a very young age, obviously not walking alone at night, right? And then if you're just going to be walking in groups. Remember how like every time we remember that time when well every time actually we go like I have to go somewhere like when I had to go to Pick and Pay. Remember I'd ask you like to come with me, and that time we had to like get our books like that IFRS book, the conceptual framework, and then I could have went by myself because I had booked, and then I got the message that, oh, your book is here. And then I asked you, hey, did your book arrive yet? And I waited for your book to arrive so that we can walk together. So it's like something as easy as just walking to South Street, you know. It was South Street, whatever that place is, just walking there. Any person, like a guy, it's actually so sad how a guy, it's just like, "Ha, ke hona mo." Like I'll be like I'm going, I'm coming back. But for a girl, yeah, Kevin, it's a problem. It's a problem.
I saw some um I've actually seen two memes, right? But I can't remember what the first one says exactly. Someone asked the question, if there was one thing that you could do like in the world, what is it? And this girl was like, walk alone at night, like with basically saying like just being as free as a guy would
That
be
would be
in the middle
heaven,
of
bruh. Heaven.
like
Yeah.
being able to walk as a girl. at night, And then I saw something, another one today. So the first one, I'm butchering what they actually said. It wasn't exactly like that, it was different. But the one that I saw today was a picture of the beach and the moon. Like, yeah, it was basically just a picture of the beach with the sea and the moon, right? And it just was a nice view. So it was posted by a gent, and the gent is like, wouldn't it be nice to just be chilling here with someone you really love, and you just have the memory and whatever, right? And like, it's a beautiful thing. Then a girl responded saying, I would love to be alone here and take in the memory and have like the whole experience at this time of the night, because it was at night, obviously with the moon out, and have this experience. But unfortunately, I'm a girl, you know, and I'm just like, someone says it, and it's you might take it lightly, but when you think about the depth of that, I mean, I know for myself, yes, I mean, at night, even I'm not necessarily safe or anything like that. But it's worse for a girl. So you can just imagine, because with me, I'll probably be robbed, and then that's that. With a woman, you're not only robbed, you, the woman will be beaten up, raped, killed. You know,
Kill, yeah.
um, exactly. And why? And it's just like, why? Like, what have women done so wrong? You know, to deserve to be treated that way. You know? Like, if a person is angry, why don't they go to gym? You know what I mean? And just punching bags. Like, yeah, as opposed to taking it out on another human being. It's also certain things. So I feel like we also need to start having like patrols. These, the government talks about creating jobs and all of these things. I feel like these are times where you can take the opportunity to increase the number of intake for South African police service people or whatever, right? And you have literally people whose job it is to do patrols in communities, right? And I know with that happening, I mean, I just remember with lockdown, level 5 and level 4, I think, where there were police patrols, the initial lockdown. You just knew that you can't be walking around. I remember my friend telling me from my church that, look, during the day, because they're not patrolling, it's normal, right? But at night, because of curfew, you want to make sure that you're home, because if they find you, then you're being taken to jail. So just that young fear, if we know that, look, and just find ways, identify risks that could result from having the same people patrol the same area every day. So just thinking about it, if Kevin is going to patrol around this area every day, then I'm going to have friends over here. Then I might start overlooking that one friend who beats his wife up at night. I just drive by. But if we know that, okay, Kevin is patrolling here today, and then has been stationed in Mafikeng tomorrow, then I must go to Mafikeng, and then there's no sense of, I know the people that are around here. And so we limit those things. So these are opportunities that I feel the government should be taking advantage of. We should take in more people, young people, in fact, to become police, train them to be able to deal with such situations, situations of either rape, kidnap, abuse. Have patrols, I just that principle of having a police vehicle in the vicinity would limit things like a woman being snatched on the side of the road, coming back from work because she works 200 kilometers away from where she lives, and the bus only got like she was only able to get off the bus at 9 o'clock at night, and she has to walk from the bus stop to her place. So such a person should be protected from some predators who are just hanging, looking to, things like that. So I don't know, but I feel our government is very vocal about gender-based violence, but that's as far as it goes. It's just there's very little action, and there needs to be action. And you understand that we put these people in power so that they can sort out everything. So yeah,
The only thing they're sorting out is our money.
basically, and they're making sure that their pockets are getting deeper and deeper. I think it's times like this, with the 16 days of activism, where we need to have this chat, like on a real basis. And my dad and my cousin was speaking the other day on Sunday that we no longer have activists in South Africa. Like the last activists we had were Bo Solomon Mahlangu and Bo Steve Bantubiko. And now we're fighting a different fight, and we don't have people with the same vigor, and energy, and we need that, to basically hold our government accountable, but also to be able to fight with things like this, because it's not right that women live in fear. I feel like a woman should be able to go to the shops without worrying whether she'll make it back.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like within these 16 days, like honestly, using them to understand what is happening and how each one of us, like what role we have in trying to combat or be against, gender-based violence. Yeah. Obviously, it should be like a 365/366 day thing. But for now, let's start with 16 days and actively, be active on, being against and being vocal about it, either on your social media, with your family, your friends, whatever it is, like just having that conversation. And I mean, like Shumani was actually saying that we need action, like we've been talking. So yeah, like you did mention with government, um instead of like talking about it so much, let's put action to it. All these companies, these rich people, like let's come together, put in funds, and let's all work, let's all be allies and be the activists, against it. Yeah, honestly, like we can't be defeated, like we're too many. Yeah, too many. And honestly, if the government just works with us, with all these policies, and there's so many qualified, I don't understand how they just want to keep people who are rubbish into like inside a position. Like there's so many qualified people who can fill that position. So why are you so protective of that one? Just let them go and find other young people. There's so many young talented people. There's so much unemployment. Honestly, you can find somebody qualified, obviously, but
Yeah,
there's always someone. Yeah, the same way you found that one, there's even better. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. No, very true. Like, yeah, I really agree with what Shumani says, that there needs to be action.
Mm.
And I'm just thinking to myself, is it enough to just be protesting there, making a noise? Um, or what needs to happen? But I feel the same, like I said, vigor that we had with things like fees must fall. There needs to be that same energy against gender-based
The
violence.
thing is, if it's
So
big enough and consistent enough, they will hear us, but there's no way. The thing about it is, it seems like we're too quiet, and they're like, they forgot, like it's fine, So let's
Yeah.
make them know that we haven't forgotten, like constantly be like, yo, 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 like when they're trying to eat, yo. Dear South Africans or fellow South Africans, yo. Be in their faces all the time. Honestly, they'll get fed up of it and just start doing something about it. Yeah.
No, honestly, yeah, our country, yeah, we're in like trouble basically at this point, and we need people who are action oriented.
Kevin, it bothers
People,
me so much how like South Africa is such a beautiful country. Oh, it's so beautiful. Like the fact that our climate, is for
is
us, you know, we,
yeah,
we just have beautiful land. Like South Africa is so gorgeous. The only thing that lacks is some of its
is
people and the
yeah,
leadership. If that can change, honestly, we live in paradise, man, and we should protect our South Africa like as much as we can.
exactly. There's this program called The Insider on SABC3, and we watched it this past Saturday. And at some point, they showed some area in Eastern Cape, right? Or Western Cape, somewhere there. It's a beach and it's like by the coast, right? And there's just this beautiful mountain, and there's these houses right by the mountain, and the weather was perfect, and the water was blue, and everything. And I'm like, is this South Africa? I'm like, our country is actually a beautiful place, and when you see all of these places, you just realize how much of an amazing country we have. But we just have those rotten apples, and I think I will blame our leadership. Like we were talking about the justice system and how their their focus on being corrective sometimes is a little bit misguided, because some people are a problem to the community. Like you find that a serious kingpin, like a drug gangster thing person, who is taken to jail, and because our justice system is based on the principle of corrective measures, um, they try to correct this person, who then is released on whatever, has served his sentence or whatever, right? And is released and goes back and does the same thing, or goes back and kills people and do whatever. Do you understand that we haven't sorted out the situation? So we need, that's why I'm just going to blame our government. I'm going to blame our leadership, because they're the ones that are supposed to make sure that we need to have a different form of doing things, so, and handling the situation. Things cannot continue this way.
Okay, guys, that was our discussion for the day. If you like this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Kevin and I will check you guys next time. Bye.